Private lateral program has been a massive success for us because the condition assessment of that was they're all failing. If our main lines are failing, we're failing. And then we have sample sites right now. We can't use recycled water, so we're trying to figure out where all the salinity is coming from. We have a huge tidal influence, and we've captured a couple places where we were basically during king tide with over 300,000 gallons of salt water coming into our system. We measured. So we're on top of that. We got HDR doing our force mains, and again, we're going to do the creek crossings internally. We'll also use the LiDAR, and I'm looking at getting a drone to do some of the creek crossings. And you wouldn't believe how many amazing information you get out of trouble calls. So gravity sewer right now, we got an Aries industry mainline and push cameras. We have the Enviro side. We got a bunch of cues that most of the guys don't like. The large diameter was all done by Red Zone Robotics, and all of this is populated into our CMMS, which is easily accessible. And the guys can even see most of the pictures and the videos soon on their phones. RVSD is moving away. We want to get rid of paper and eventually no more laptops. And all the information for the operator will be on their phone. So we've got most of it. We have ArcGIS online. You guys can see the pictures of the defects, right? And the SharePoint for the lateral cards. So for now, we're using Pipe Tech. We don't like it. We never really did. And we're moving towards WinCan. We just bought a $550,000 IBOC truck with scanning ability, linear curvature, and we're really looking forward to that because it has the online modules. And what CMMS is that everyone using?
Mainsaver.
What's that?
Mainsaver.
Okay. Same? Sonoma?
A lot. We got some custom built stuff.
Okay.
So it's all.
I was just trying to get a feel for the room. You guys, what software you guys use?
ICOM.
Ooh. Okay, again, I'll have a bunch of cards out here. I highly recommend just having a chat with me about Infonet and Infonet Mobile. It has really made us far more effective. Everything goes into one point. My supervisors use this like crazy. It is very easy to use. Getting it set up is an absolute headache. I'm not gonna lie to you, but we have all the lessons learned. So you cannot have a condition assessment program without having the proper CMMS. My recommendation, if you're going to pick a CMMS, always involve the field staff because they're the ones putting in the information. You run the risk, and it's an incredible one, of garbage in, garbage out. And all you're doing is spending millions of dollars in places that doesn't need to be spent. We have a tremendous QA/QC program. These two guys are incredible coders. They work well with their condition assessment supervisor, John Fogel. They meet regularly and make sure that everyone's looking at the same thing. Because I always have a rule, you can put 10 PACP certified operators into a video truck and video 300 feet of line, and all of it will always be different, unless it's perfect pipe. So everyone sees pipe differently. Most engineers are too busy, they're not gonna look at the defects, they'll decide, oh, grade 5 defects, we're gonna replace this line of pipe for $300,000, complete waste of money. So you have to make sure that the operator in the field can put in the correct data, and then you have to have a secondary line of defense and a third line of defense. So, manhole assessments. We didn't know where most of our manholes were. Well, how do you go clean pipe? The guys were jumping over fences, going into 4 different properties. Nothing was in the right area. What someone did, I think used Google Earth and said, oh, that looks like a manhole, which is over there 10 years ago. So now we have the ArcGIS App Explorer. All our manhole inspections are done on a phone. We do not do MACP. I think MACP is absolutely just worthless. It's way too much information, takes way too much time. You guys are still doing level 1, right?
Yeah, they're modified.
Modified. So I just want the information I need to rehab that manhole or to stop a blockage. So every time we started collecting data on one side, and we weren't collecting data on the other, it was kind of like bay mud. We'd make progress, then nightmare. And then it became whack-a-mole. So we had all the data, it looked like the line was fine. We didn't pop the manhole lid. Well, we were getting overflows because all the roots going in through the barrels and then getting into the invert. So we kept trying to figure out where's the balance. We got high definition camera systems. We got a cool iBot miniature push camera. Again, if you guys want to come visit and check this thing out, it's like a 16-pound little camera, about that big. And it's full powered. I mean, this thing is portable like no other. So, but for places that don't have easements, you don't need it. And then manhole assessments, we started doing a lot of them in the flood basins and the tidal basins. The cities around us don't have a lot of capital, so they do not fix their storm drains. If the storm drain backs up, it comes into us. So it's my priority to, and we have a flooding in San Anselmo, Ross. So we did manhole assessments throughout the flood basins and, like I said, the tidal basins. Does anyone else have a saltwater problem? Or is that unique to us? No? There's Austin. So GPA data collection, we had the Trimble unit and equipment, and again, everything talks to the CMMS, Infonet desktop, and then it goes out through a SQL script and some other stuff that our GIS guy does to the ArcGIS ArcMap. And then again, the changes in the field are live. Basically, it takes 5 seconds, and all of a sudden I'll see the manhole go tick, and we know what property to go on. And then we can add all the notes, and do we need to know the person's phone number, the gate code, and we're still working on perfecting a system to get that information in. Like I get emails from you all the time, hey, gate code or this and that, here's the phone number. But you got to know where your assets are so you can actually do the condition assessment. Line maintenance. You can get more information out of a line maintenance operation than a condition assessment. Because I know managers all throughout California and Arizona. A lot of them say you have to clean before you see a CCTV. If you CCTV before you clean, you're losing all your O&M data. Yeah, you'll see the structural, but you're not going to see any of the roots. With the brand new nozzles and how fast they're going and the rotation and the speed, you're dissolving roots. So the person is not catching everything at the basket. I highly recommend using a matrix that we modified from Vivian Housing Associates. But we go through our system once a year for the most part, and then we have the 3-year. Condition assessment, you generally go through your system every 5 to 10 years, unless you have a brand new system. So definitely recommend looking into, and you can copy our work order, make your modifications depending on your system, but there's some incredible information that comes out of the line maintenance. And then the guys have the Qs cameras and Virusite cameras. Put cameras on your jet trucks and allow your field guys to always have a push camera at least. You know, it doesn't have to be PACP, it doesn't have to be recorded most of the time, but let the individual look at what they're doing. Okay, I try and press upon everyone to give everything to the field guys and the supervisors. Don't hold back anything. If there's equipment out there that can make the job safer, more effective, more efficient, and provide me the data that I can go back to the engineering team and come up with a game plan, I'm all for it. I'll give these guys whatever they need. The caveat is, when I first started, we didn't have any money. I couldn't go to Napa Auto Parts and buy washers. The cease and desist order and the bonding and everything else, they forced us to get the equipment. So I know a lot of people don't have the budgets, don't have what we have right now, but we couldn't have done anything that we did without the cease and desist. Hydraulic capacity. So going back to the SSRMP, we had massive projects that someone put in a flow meter and said, you're going to go fix all of Sequoia Park. Sequoia Park's this huge little nightmare that's half owned by George Lucas or something. But we put in one $4,000 smart cover and we got rid of a $6 million project. It's a no-brainer. Okay, we let it go through 3 years of testing, basically data collection, and we went back to the regional water board. Hey, time out. We'll spend the $6 million. Let us spend it somewhere else. So, does anyone have smart covers? Do you continually use them? If you're, that's one of the other things. Afterwards, please talk to me about smart covers. We recorded, I think we've stopped 48 overflows because of smart covers. We've gotten rid of 15 to $18 million worth of projects for $100,000 worth of equipment, okay? Again, we're constantly assessing what the hydraulic capacity is. We also use the rain gauge data. We have multiple sites for that. And pump station flows, CMSA flows, and we're in the midst of updating our hydraulic model with InfoWorks, which is a cousin to InfoNet. We definitely have, this was Broadmoor. That's actually a 4-inch pump going, and that was our 250,000 gallon spill. So we definitely have some problems. Smoke testing. Guys did an insane job smoke testing. We got 2 Herco smokers. We got 1 lateral smoker. These guys were flying around finding more stuff than we can ever enforce on. Anyone else have that problem? We'd have whole easements with smoke coming out of everywhere. And you just sit there like, oh God. Well, we also smoke tested where we did capital improvement projects where it's direct burial, we trenched right through the street or up the easements. All the laterals were smoking. So we spent all that money fixing the line in the street, and nothing happened. We were still just getting inundated from all the laterals. So, and again, they're going to stop blending, or they're talking about stopping blending, and that's going to be like a $50 million upgrade to the treatment plant. So we're making a huge press with condition assessment to get ahead of this, and we'd rather spend the money out in the field than at the treatment plant. You got to figure all this work we're doing and assessing everything, and you're going to update a treatment plant for $40 million for 3 heavy rain days a year? I'll try and argue that all day long. So again, all our work orders are in Infinite Mobile. The guys populate them to take the pictures, they take a reference point. The guys, we went after the flood-prone basins. We found out that an 18-inch trunk line that was supposedly abandoned was actually still connected to us, and we significantly reduced the flow by sealing that up. So, and the trunk line systems, again, easements, Quarter Creek. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do with smoke testing, because I think we're up to like 11,000 observations. And so do we go in and fix it? Is it cheaper to just fix the storm drain? So we're trying to negotiate, because there's a lot of people in high places in Ross Valley. Anyone got a problem with sump pumps? Because if you got a solution, I'm all ears. Sump pumps are an absolute nightmare for us. Obviously, it's got a backflow preventer on it, and finding them has been a nightmare unless the person doesn't know, wasn't educated yet. So we developed both a commercial and brochures. We're going to start handing them out. Again, $10,000 worth of public outreach. If I can get rid of 4 sump pumps on Diane Lane, I've saved $450,000. But sump pumps are absolutely killing us. We've done a lot of amazing work at Ross Valley, but everyone's seen something. They tie into our system. They'll put the sump pump straight into our manholes. We'll weld our manholes shut, and they'll still break the weld and shove the lines in there. And then we have another Broadmoor. So we do have a bunch of commercials going out all around Marin County, and that's part of our, we're trying to figure out the condition assessment of saving all this money and getting rid of these sump pumps. And of course, the smart covers and pump station, lift station data is how we see if it actually is working. And I'm almost done. Dye testing. We have a lot of ground movement. Most of our manholes are at the bottom of the creek. This is a dry creek bed, and before we raised it, it was actually just getting inundated. So we have a lot of depressions, we have a lot of sinkholes. Just go dye test, dye test, dye test, dye test. I also really angered a couple engineers one time when I dye tested a creek crossing. Raphael was there, and we kept having what we thought was sewage coming out of the concrete. But we pumped so much dye down it that we actually had to pressurize the gravity line, and that's where we started seeing the dye come out. So yes, we kind of made an overflow worse, but dye is your best friend, especially on service calls. And confirmation, confirmation, confirmation. And even better when doing siphons. So this is one of my fun ones. I haven't heard anyone else doing this. This is you guys, and I think this was an amazing job. This was on Ichabod. Our our condition assessment team went out there and videoed a line. There was not one defect in the line. The VCP looked perfect, absolutely perfect, nothing. We had a gut feeling from one of the sensors. The guys came up with a game plan, hooked it up. We pumped the storm drain full of water, and it was a waterfall at every single joint. So you couldn't see the staining, you couldn't see anything. But I mean, it was an impressive video watching it. And by the time they got to the end of the run, the camera was completely under fresh water, and you could see perfectly clear. So just because, and you can smoke test, sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. I've done over 1 million feet of smoke testing, I get it. But flooding out your storm drains or drainage ditches, I highly recommend it. That's part of your opportunities. And it really, really worked well. Then we had HDR come in, right, and gel grab it. Yeah, so then they just go and bring the little pigs and gel grab every joint. We didn't have to line it, and we turned the front upside down. One of the cool things we're also doing, this is a 3D scan of our pump station. All of our pump stations have been scanned. If you guys have been on Zillow or Realtor and actually walked through, I can put on an Oculus or HTV Vive, and I can actually walk through my pump station and look at the condition of my pump station in 3D. It's a 3D model, and to do pump station 12 is 250 bucks. Okay, I got a Realtor guy. He comes in and he scans everything, gives you access, and this thing is fully 3D. You can walk through it, and it's basically like Google Street View for. And that's going back to what the LECA does for the easements. All of our easements will have a condition assessment 3D point cloud, and it'll look like this. But I can actually move to whatever point I want and see ground shift, ground movement, is the pipe movement, is the footings moving. Super cool, super cheap stuff. And the clarity is amazing. It's all in 4K. So you can use this for condition assessing a pump station before, after warranty work. And you got a lot of hungry realtors out there that go take pictures like this. So 3-story station, 250 bucks. That's cheaper than a router guy opening up a drain line. If you want to write it down, it's matterport.com. So we're still working on getting the pump stations down. That was the last thing I'm trying to figure out. Again, everything goes through the Infinite Mobile Work Order System. We found out a huge amount of data from the PG&E website. I'm sure you guys have treatment plants that are taking care of it. We found a lot of bad stuff going on with a lot of our pumps because we do have an older system. We just, in 2019, started installing SCADA. So we're way behind the 8 ball on that one. But we're getting ramped up pretty quick. And again, we're in the midst of starting this SCADA data analysis, and every week now we're getting more information on what pumps are bad, what's this, what's going on, run times, and we're starting to understand what our system's doing. And we're in the middle of the infrastructure asset management plan. Update. Stay tuned. Creek crossings. We have 302 creek crossings. That's why most of our, we condition assess the heck out of it. Most of our siphons were leaking. Okay? Because when we dewatered them with the Vector hose and put a camera down, all the joints at the 45 are just shooting in water. Well, obviously when the pipe's pressurized, I'm exfiltrating. It's a very dark word. So we're doing a huge thing, well HDR is, on creek crossings and assessments after we do the scanning. So we're looking forward to protecting the fishies. It's pretty hard to see, but on the bottom, every red X is just a grade 5 defect. That's when I started here. Okay, I mean, we were out service call after service call, 3 at night, 4 at night, 5 on a weekend, and we're starting to get a little better here. So to me, it's a huge success story, and we're still going. So condition assessment and lessons learned, you got to develop a risk model. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing your tail. I'm sure your engineering teams are working on that, but I highly recommend making sure the field guys have input. Always use your field guys, your supervisors, your leads, Get their information. Find out what's that dangerous easement you never want to go clean. What's that siphon you need to clean at 2 in the morning because of traffic control. Get that information to your engineering team. Question everything, development stages. I've thrown my supervisors to the wolves and they came out on top. I appreciate everything, Ralph. But we've made a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and get help. The learning curve is high, and we're here to help. We've learned a lot of things. We've done a lot of great things. We've done a lot of bad things, but we learn from them, and we want to share it with other districts. And document the hits or misses through the development, so you can share, so you can write the white paper, so you can come do presentations. Because the main goal is this, for me. This was our risk assessment when we first started, and as you can see, now I'm at 70%, but I'm getting rid of most of the red. Okay, and the whole goal is to get that pie all the way up. You're never going to get everything because there's no funding, but that is my goal. So part of the IMP is to figure out where we are in 2019 and the progress we've made there. And questions? Yeah.
You mentioned you de-watered your siphons. How do you guys go about doing that?
Okay, so we have about 5 ways to do that. We're actually going to do it on Thursday at Ross Valley, if you guys are interested in coming.
You guys have a positive displacement on your back truck, or?
No, we do it, the thorough cleaning is with flex hose and hand rod, and I got a presentation I can email you on that.
Great.
But we'll be more than happy to show you. There's no siphon I can't clean. It's just a little bit more equipment. I learned it from my uncle, because we had to shoot the liner through the siphon, we had to clean it.
Okay.
So this trick is all from my uncle, and it works. So I don't care if it's a 30-inch, a 6-inch, it just takes a little more time.
The gel grout for the joints that are getting infiltration?
Yep.
How's that with cleaning?
No effect. It is awesome. Okay, after you jet it, on average, 10 to 12, 15 years, you're going to break that seal, but that's why they compact it around. If you dig this stuff up, this thing is bulletproof on the outside. You might have a dripper, but I mean, you're pretty much good. One of the problems with our jetters is every time we jet it, we break that organic seal. And then that's, you know, it allows the roots to start growing in, and then we're back to square one. But the rodders did all the damage, and now my jetters are making all the holes. So it's a constant cycle, and it's regroup, regroup, regroup. But these guys are out every day. We've got a four-man crew doing GPS manhole assessment, smoke testing, and CCV all at the same time. And it is aggressive. Yes?
I was going to add to regarding the gel grout, one thing we are going to try to avoid is the 90-degree nozzles, just a straight back and no rotating. So that's something we're going to pick up for those pumps, for those pipes specifically.
They don't break that seal when you're spinning with the nozzle.
Yeah, I'll be honest, one of the best things was the cease and desist. We got so many toys, and when I mean toys, some high-end amazing stuff. And we want to share it with everyone. So rossvalley.org, rvsd.org, you know, come talk to us. We're here to help.
So when you're doing the gel grouting, have you guys had a contractor that can go up the lateral some? Or what's your experience with that?
With 6-inch VCP with one offset, you'll get that thing so hung up.
Yeah.
So no, the goal down the road, do we take out the low? Do we take ownership of the lower laterals? Do we not? So it's a give and take kind of thing. But we have so much evidence of all the 6-inch lines we lined. All it did was raise up the water table and everything just comes flying in through the laterals. So we're back to square one again. You just spent all that repairs money and you still got all the infiltration coming in and inflow through the laterals. So we're not perfect, we're learning every single day. But I think I'm a little over, so I'll let you go, Raph. Am I good? Give us a call, guys. We're here to help. So are you guys using LiDAR? Yeah.
Oh, drones. Stamp man.
Yeah. Going to.
I've been on this. Some of the stuff.
Oh, no, it's fine.
You want to see this thing?
Was that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
When you're there, it's all places. One thing I know for sure, just being the question. Oh, yeah. Waterman? I do it.
Oh, no, this is right over.
Well, it's also the weekend of 60. I think of everything. For me, the best expert was started at the beginning. So just like this collection system.
This thing's super cheap too.
I started when he started, so seeing it in the paper and all the stickers, and now I have my phone. The only thing with the phone is